The grand office tower gleamed under the noon sun, a temple of wealth and power. Inside, the air smelled faintly of polished wood and expensive leather, a scent designed to intimidate. At the top of the building, the CEO, a woman known for her ruthless deals and flawless image, sat behind her glass desk, eyes sharp, lips curling into a confident smile. Across from her, a simple janitor moved quietly, carrying the faint scent of floor polish and old laundry, entirely invisible to most of the office world. Yet today, the invisible was about to rewrite the rules. She leaned forward, her smile practiced, almost predatory. Her voice, cool, commanding, offered a challenge, one that seemed absurd given the disparity in their lives. "A game of chess," she said, with a playful yet dangerous edge. "Beat me, and I'll marry you." Most people in the office laughed at the suggestion, imagining it as a joke to humiliate the man further. They didn't notice the subtle twitch of concentration in his eyes, the quiet patience that had carried him through years of invisibility. For the janitor, the world had always been divided. Those who saw him as nothing, and those rare few who glimpsed the intelligence and resilience buried beneath his uniform. Today, the gleaming office, the taunting challenge, and the high stakes were not a trap. They were an arena, and the janitor, who moved through the shadows unnoticed, was about to step into the light, rewriting the rules of power in 3 calculated moves. From dawn to dusk, he had walked the corridors, pushing carts and mopping floors, always careful not to be noticed. At home, his tiny apartment smelled faintly of cleaning solution and the lingering scent of his mother's cooking. His family depended on him, though they barely understood the breadth of his intelligence, the depth of his discipline, and the sharpness of his mind. Outside the office, he was quiet, unassuming, a man of patience and humility. Inside, the world treated him as invisible. The CEO, on the other hand, lived in a realm of perfection. Every step, every decision radiated authority. Her employees feared her, admired her, and sometimes whispered about her coldness behind closed doors. She saw the janitor as she saw most things that weren't useful to her, a fixture, easily overlooked. Yet the irony of the day was palpable. Today, she would unintentionally reveal that the same intelligence that had been ignored for years could not be confined by social status. The office's subtle racism had always been present. The quiet nods, the sideways glances, the assumption that certain tasks and thoughts were beneath him. Co-workers avoided meaningful conversations, silently reinforcing the invisible boundaries he was expected never to cross. Outside work, his life carried the weight of responsibility, caring for younger siblings, managing bills on a meager salary, and finding joy in small victories, like the perfect cup of coffee or a book finally finished. He had always loved chess. The game taught him patience, strategy, and timing, the same tools he applied to surviving life's small battles. When the CEO leaned back in her chair, inviting a challenge that seemed ludicrous to anyone else, he recognized something familiar. A battlefield where intellect alone could tip the balance. The setup was clear, the stakes ridiculous, the odds stacked against him, the eyes of the office watching, waiting for humiliation. But for the janitor, every unnoticed day had been a preparation for this moment. The office cleared except for a few daring employees, silent witnesses to an unusual spectacle. She opened the ornate chess set, pieces polished to a mirror shine, as though the game itself were a display of her superiority. Her movements were deliberate, almost theatrical, as she placed her pieces with precision and control. The janitor leaned over the board, taking a deep breath, feeling the weight of every gaze in the room. Her first moves were aggressive, each one designed to provoke a reaction, to test whether he would flinch, hesitate, or falter. She was used to people caving under her presence, to intelligence bowing to arrogance, but he did not respond with fear. He responded with observation. His eyes scanned the board, noting her patterns, recognizing the traps hidden beneath her confident exterior. Every pawn, knight, and rook became a symbol, every movement a statement of intent. The room grew tense. Employees shifted uncomfortably, whispering that this was madness, that the janitor stood no chance. But with every move, the janitor's calm determination became palpable, a quiet storm building against the storm of wealth and arrogance. The CEO's smiles began to falter, her confidence flickering under the weight of a mind she had dismissed. The janitor's first move was subtle, almost unnoticeable, yet it altered the board in ways she could not immediately see. He sacrificed a pawn, seemingly careless, but each decision was layered, strategic, designed to dismantle her assumptions. The CEO's smirk wavered, a small crack in her armor, but she pressed forward, unwilling to concede the psychological ground she had so long claimed. The tension escalated. Each piece moved with purpose. Each glance exchanged a battle of minds. Employees leaned in, sensing the shift, the underdog's patience against the arrogance of power. She attempted psychological tactics, tilting the board, leaning close, smiling with calculated superiority. Yet the janitor remained unshaken, eyes tracing possibilities, anticipating threats, and creating opportunities from thin air. Her moves became increasingly erratic, frustration rising as the janitor's plan revealed itself. It was more than just chess. It was the embodiment of years of unseen intelligence, disciplined observation, and strategic restraint. She realized too late that her arrogance had blinded her to the depth of a man. She had dismissed for his appearance, for his station, for the color of his skin. He considered each piece as if it were a piece of life itself, deciding which to protect, which to sacrifice, which to advance. The office felt the tension, a quiet awe filling the air. This was no longer a game, it was a revelation. The janitor's calm determination contrasted sharply with the CEO's growing panic, a tableau of intellect unrecognized, underestimated, and now undeniable. As he positioned his knight and queen, the final trap was set. 3 moves remained, each one calculated, each one a step toward the inevitable collapse of her superiority. The room held its breath, witnessing the transformation of a janitor into a master strategist, invisible no more. The CEO, realizing her miscalculation, moved quickly, desperately, but it was too late. The janitor's 3 final moves unfolded with precision, elegance, and inevitability. In less than a minute, her king was cornered, her queen immobilized, her carefully constructed dominance shattered on the checkered battlefield. A silence fell over the room. The employees, stunned, could barely comprehend what had just occurred. He had done the impossible, not with aggression, not with brashness, but with patience, observation, and an intellect they had never noticed in him. The CEO sat frozen, pride shattered, her power momentarily meaningless against the quiet, disciplined brilliance of a man she had underestimated. The janitor leaned back, exhaling slowly, aware of the magnitude of what had just transpired. He had not just won a game. He had dismantled years of arrogance, prejudice, and assumption in 3 simple moves. The office witnessed a shift not just on the chessboard, but in the very perception of ability, worth, and respect. She looked up, humbled, her carefully maintained image fractured by a reality she could no longer deny. For the first time, she saw him, not as a janitor, not as someone invisible, but as a person of intelligence, patience, and skill. The victory was more than symbolic. It was a revelation of the dangers of underestimating those society has chosen to ignore. Employees whispered, admiration mixed with disbelief. The janitor returned to his duties quietly. The game now over, but the impression permanent. The CEO's arrogance, once untouchable, had been challenged by humility and intellect, proving that power is never guaranteed, and that genius can emerge from the most unlikely places. The story lingered beyond the office walls, a testament to patience, resilience, and the quiet strength of those dismissed by society. And as the janitor walked down the hallway, polishing floors and straightening chairs, he carried not just a victory on the chessboard, but a subtle, undeniable truth. Brilliance and dignity are not measured by wealth or title. They are revealed in action, in strategy, and in the courage to be seen when others insist on invisibility. In 3 moves, the world had shifted, if only slightly, and the lesson remained clear. Never underestimate the underestimated.